Thank you very much, Rafa and Matt. 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome back to Golden Guardians Academy versus Mirage, game number 3. We're here. My name's Matt Niberia Daniel, joined by this ass, Esports TJ.
I'm wrong side. You
Yeah,
pointed
it's
me.
always
you don't
mirrored.
Even know where I am.
Always mirrored. That way.
I'm in California. You can't reach me. Delaware boy. Game 3 between Mirage and Golden Guardians Academy promises to be a good one. We hope. Game 2 was a little bit of a blowout, but Game 1 went all the way with Mirage taking an upset victory over the Academy team playing it down here in Amateur. Did you say our names? I called you Delaware boy. My name is TJ. That's Matt Niberia Daniel. Nope, that's Matt Niberia Daniel. He's in Delaware. I can't find him. Nobody can find where Delaware is on a map. Let's talk about the draft as we head into Game 3. Is there anything you're looking for?
Delaware, because you joke, but I played a lot of MMOs as a kid, so you talk to a lot of people from different countries, and every single European, I'd be like, yeah, I'm from Delaware. They're like, that Denmark? I'm like, no, it is not Denmark. Thank you. It is Delaware.
I feel like Delaware is one of the more famous American states. It's just
nobody's heard of it. Nobody's heard of it. Yeah.
Because that's like George Washington and all the history, and
I feel like it's like a strictly American thing. I guarantee, like, if there are Canadians, they have not heard of Delaware.
Canadians in the chat, pop off. Tell me how much you care about Delaware on a scale of 1 to 2. Let's get. Nobody cares about Delaware that much. Let's get into the draft. Darren is bad again. Kaiser's up for grabs. I'll be curious to see if it is a first pick here from.
I found you.
Locked in I'm doxed by our producer here. First pick,
that
Kaiser,
graphic would come in handy.
Immediately, Beach would like the pick back. Golden Guardians have a different answer. It's going to be Tally locking in that Xayah for Prismal.
I think Rosethorn getting the Hecarim is scary again because, yes, granted, that was a really easy early game to snowball off of, but Rosethorn did a great job of doing so, getting those objectives, chasing down those kills, and setting up the team for success. I'm so happy on the Mirage side, though, to see that Rel Kaisa lane. That was what we saw them have success with in their big series where Meech popped off 9-1. A record that's been beaten by game number 1, but hey, looking for a repeat, I think Mirage are too.
We'd like to take this moment to observe that our champ select music this season is a bop. And continue. We do have Azir in the mid lane. I'm really, really excited for DNA to be back on that pick as well because I felt like it created a lot of opportunities. I know the Syndra is theoretically his best champion, it's what he's known for, but playing Azir looked a lot better than that Syndra game, admittedly small sample size. I also like for Golden Guardians that they do have a Xayah. Obviously Zyra Khan's like the duo lane or whatever, but I'm going to be honest, the reason I'm really excited for Prismal getting the Xayah is because here's a button that is just help my team isn't supporting me. Press the button! I got iframes, nobody can hit me. And from what we've seen in the last 2 games, Prismal would really benefit from that option.
Yeah, especially because we normally see Chime on engaged supports who are really just saying, okay, I found an angle, time to go. That's the bard noise, it's Chime.
I like it.
That was a bad bard noise, I'll have to try it again.
Well, yeah, but I liked that you were making the effort. Sometimes, Matt, it's not about the result, it's about the journey you take to get there.
Mirage have had a hell of a journey then, because that game 2 was rough, but they're looking to repeat their game 1 performance, and Yunbi on Victor. I like this.
Yeah, Yunbi tends to do best when they're on characters that can sit behind fights and just throw spells into them, kind of sustained damage mages. Victor is one that looked really good. They had a game versus EG, I believe, where Golden Guardians did put Yunbi on Victor, and they looked real good. Let's talk through Dragoon getting GP again. That looked decent during game number 1. And we get, I don't believe it, Hiami pulling out the Jarvan.
Okay, that's one way to shore up your early game.
I've heard chatter about this. I've heard that Jarvan is really good right now and everyone's undervalued.
Yeah, and I think as a pick, Jarvan does really well, not necessarily in the clear, because his clear speed has always been pretty abysmal, but those early ganks are powerful. You just need 2 levels, and you can already provide CC for your laners, a decent amount of burst damage, especially if you go electrocute. They can really set up your early game, and considering that's where Mirage have really been falling behind, I like their draft adaptation.
And what it also promises for Mirage is it's more tools that provide lockdown, it's more tools that can keep Meech safe, which we have seen is absolutely essential. It is maybe the only directive that matters for Mirage. Protect the Kai'Sa. Well, finish things off, Tally does get a Gnar in the top lane over there. Always feel good when I see Australian top laners playing Gnar. I don't know if that's just because Gnar feels like an animal that would exist in Australia, or if it's genuinely that OPL top laners tend to be good at Gnar. Draw your own conclusions.
I've been lukewarm on Gnar most of the time when he's in the meta, especially recently since they changed his transform time. It's really hard to pull off well. It's really, really hard to get those gank timings, those TP timings correct.
Good Gnar play functions really well in lane, and you can get those massive teamfight impact ults. The transformation timing, when you do get it right, when somebody is able to TP from the top lane they've been dominating and just win a team fight, it is unparalleled. And if anyone can pull it off, it would be Tally, who again is one of the most experienced players, the longest serving veterans of competitive League of Legends. He's been playing since like 2014.
Yeah, I think this is potentially a really good composition here for the side of Golden Guardians. They have tons of AoE. If you can get that lockdown, if you can get that perfect Gnar ultimate off, that's going to be great for you. You're going to get tons of damage into that fight because you're going to get the slam, you're going to get the Chaos Storm on top of it. You okay with your tea there?
I am out of tea!
Oh no!
Gotta get my Red Bull.
You just had...
It's
all right.
Integration.
Flex on us then, with your 2 cups.
Yeah. Well, normally I have 2 different cups of tea while I'm casting. I have a caffeinated tea and a throat tea. But today I didn't need any caffeine because the games were just that good.
Woo!
Woo!
The Challengers Uprising promise, baby.
It's game 3 as we head into it. I'm gonna just throw this to you. Do you feel comfortable making a prediction at this point?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm going for Mirage, baby. You're an academy boy. You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't understand the grit behind the amateur scene.
Having seen the draft, I would also favor Mirage on a pure, like, oh, they got what worked in game 1. Oh, I don't know that Golden Guardians can patch the problems. But also, I do want to say Golden Guardians do have a better draft than they had during Game 1, and I think that Game 1 very likely it lit a little bit of a fire under them. And you could see some of the problems still being present in that Game 2, where they were miles ahead. You could see them kind of abandoning Prisma a little bit. Some of the things that we've criticized still being there. But this will be where we really get to see if they are aware of those problems and working on them. Because the slate is clean. 1-1 is our tied series, and that means this Game 3 decides who wins our final game of Day 1 here in Challengers Uprising.
Okay, TJ, it's the most important part of the game. It's level 1.
You are correct.
They're trying to squeeze in on Tally.
Yeah.
Wow. Roy is deep in that jungle. What?
Can we get a look at what Roy's up to here? Joe?
What is going on? Are they going for level 1 collapse? They are going for level 1 collapse on the Rosethorn. There's the knockup landed. Ignite on the backside of it. Hyami not going to be able to find the knockup. Of course, level 1. Ignite not going to be able to find the kill. Flash Q from Dragoon finds it. Yunbi tries to get the return kill, but the safety of numbers will protect Mirage for now. There's your early game, baby.
Level 1, take 2, say Mirage. This time, they win it. Very, very well executed. There is a little bit of an invade attempt that happens down bottom, but Gold Guardians don't commit to it. They end up dropping a ward pretty far forward, so they will know exactly where Hyami is. We'll see if that has any lasting implications.
Now, The unfortunate thing about that level 1, of course, is that Roy is the only one in the bottom lane who got any gold, and now Chime finding a great engage level 1 onto Meech. I only say it's unfortunate because this is usually where they want to play through for Mirage. You want to play through Meech. You want to get them ahead. That's been our argument since the beginning of this series. They traditionally don't, but Meech gets results. We'll see how that develops.
I think both these teams, as we outlined, don't play enough towards their AD carry, be it Meech, be it Prismal. But we've seen a little bit of a shift in Mirage since Big League. It does feel like more of an effort to play towards Meech. And surely after Prismal got God knows how many kills in that last game, Golden Guardians will be a little bit more aware of what a powerhouse they have down there in the bottom line. Surely.
I think now is a good time to highlight a quote from Hiami from earlier today when Cubby was talking to him. Was that Hiami feels that the team really lacks consistency, and that's something that we truly have been seeing throughout this series. And I'm not just talking about that level 1, but from watching their series in Big, from watching them in games 1 and 2 in Challengers Uprising today, the level of their play in terms of quality really does seem to undulate with the waves, it feels like. And I'm hoping for their sake, and for the sake of bragging rights for NA Amateur, that this is one of their good games. And so far, it really is.
I mean, the thing about Mirage that you kind of came back from our prep with is that you felt when Mirage are winning, they look real good. They look like a much better team than their current rankings in the Scouting Ground circuit would make them appear to be. But when they are behind, you understand why they languish towards the 8th place in most of the tournaments they play. Because they are a team that tends to, it seems, tilt out of the game.
They're kind of the opposite of Golden Guardians, right? Because you were saying that the Golden Guardians issue is that they have a great early game, but after they get to 15 minutes, they feel directionless and have trouble closing games. Mirage is kind of the opposite, where if they get a lead, they will end out the game. But if they're not able to establish that lead early, it's really questionable what's going to happen.
Speaking of questionable, Yami and Rosethorn kind of skirmishing here. Rosethorn will hard engage. Dragoon is isolated.
Flash from Tally.
Half HP and gone. First blood for this Golden Guardians roster will be picked up there in the top line.
This is what we were worrying about game number 1 as we see a short engage down bot. We were thinking that Dragoon is fairly consistent, but not the solid rock in the top lane that you would find from some other laners. So we do worry going against a carry top who is so experienced like Tally, and we're seeing that sort of come to fruition now alongside Rosethorn's early ganks.
Well, it has been quiet because, okay, hard engage here.
Good stun.
Double stun. The Pharaomancy set things up here,
but
the turn is there. Prismo pops the Blade Caller. What are you going to do, Meech? Auto attack a couple of times? I don't think that's going to get you anywhere. Prismo backs away. Free kill to Golden Guardians. Rel is on.
Forces out a back at least, but yeah. Worried now. Golden Guardians, of course, do have this really strong early game, and both these teams have their primary carries through the bottom lane. So an early lead here for Golden Guardians is a worrying trend for Mirage. Meech just suspiciously hanging out in that bottom bush.
Well, that's the game
and
plan.
pinging for assistance. Really, Meech?
Well, to be fair, his support is run through the jungle or something. Here comes Roy. Arriving just in time. Chimes awfully far forward. Roy will have the stun available, but the attract repel is saved, now spent. Good double stun, knock up from Hiami. They're both so low.
There it goes.
Finds one. Prismal will get the trade. Meech down 1 for 1. Golden Guardians continue to hold strong down in the bottom lane.
So if I had to criticize Meech in the bottom lane here, and I do, it's actually the caster job.
That's your job.
Yeah, the overcommittal is really consistent on this Kai'Sa. I saw it in the earlier series with Big, And I saw it here in this game, as well as the earlier Kaisa game. Look at this engage. Meech clearly sees that the Acathian Rain's going to do something. So flashes forward, hits the Q. Almost every shot goes wide, and as a result, Meech gets rooted, doesn't think about the positioning. Prismal finds beautiful root, granted, and gets the kill. Those are the kind of plays that consistently we have been seeing out of this bot lane. I think that is Meech's Achilles heel. Is that overcommittal? Is that unshakable faith that their choice will lead to a kill?
I want it, because you're absolutely right, and that is a good line to track, but I also want to give credit where it is due. Prismal sat on his flash there, sat on his blade caller, saved them both until the committal came in, waited for that killer instinct to be spent, and was rewarded for their patience and tactical awareness. Once Meech committed, they had the feathers out there to punish.
I'm clearing away the wards here in the bottom lane, looking for another engage, and Prismal and Chime playing really aggressively here, and it makes sense. They have the advantage in the lane, 2-0-0, of course, there for Prismal.
Wait, pause. Is that Dragoon's, like, profile picture? Oh, I'm being told by our producer that that is actually Dragoon in real life. Is that his Twitter
It's just
picture?
Darius.
Yeah, no, it's Darius with a sick fit on. He's wearing all the Supreme gear.
He's been talking to some of the LPL fans who got him into some good fits.
He's buying all the limited edition LPL merch, Louis Vuitton,
the Louis
$6,000. Hiami in a 1v2. Doesn't realize it's a 1v2 yet. Will, and will back away.
The early game, once again, is really being the crutch here for Mirage. Looking across the board, we have mid lane ahead, but top lane and bot are really struggling here, both in CS and kills. And as a result, Golden Guardians, to their credit, are capitalizing on this like crazy. They've been able to pick up this dragon now. They've been able to find gank after gank after gank. And if this pace of the game continues until we get to like 35 minutes like we did game 1, Golden Guardians just win.
Okay, but I will... Again, Golden Guardians' early game has never been in trouble. And if all things are normal, Golden Guardians should be winning this game. They are, after all, an Academy roster playing down here in Amateur. I will say where Golden Guardians Academy have trouble is, again, in their decision-making around team fights, be it macro and micro, their individual plays in team fights, and their comms. So... you're not out of the woods yet if you're pulling for the Golden Guardians Academy here.
I also am starting to worry a little bit for Hiami. Has gotten off a few successful ganks. That's not exactly why I'm worried, but in terms of jungle scaling, I really don't like Jarvan in the later stages of the game. Because really all you can provide at that point is Cataclysm. You no longer have a damage threat. You're going to be building fairly tanky, so you're just kind of a CC bot. Especially for Prismal, especially a fed Prismal, that's not as scary unless there's a team to follow up. So unless Roy and Hiami chain their CC exactly properly, I think Hiami just becomes useless.
Well, I think Hiami becomes a Cataclysm bot. Right, yeah. And I'm okay with that. If Hiami wants to build tanky and then again arrive in the late game as a bonus tank, I do believe that will build out a really, really good late-game team fighting roster here for Mirage, which again is sort of their win condition.
Oh no.
Oh, he backed!
Oh no.
Roy, he backed!
That's tragic.
Roy, you didn't get the memo! He backed!
A little bit of miscommunication there between the bot laners, and Roy doesn't think the back is going to complete, goes for the turn. So, Meech and Roy, a little bit of trouble in Lover's Paradise, but Prismal and Chime have a great, healthy relationship.
I mean, are you kidding me? Chime and Prismal keep getting kills. If I'm killing...
I'm a little bit worried if kills are how you judge a relationship's strength, yeah. TJ.
No, I'm fine. I mean, we haven't murdered anyone yet, so that's
true.
Why I'm hoping Dylan's going to come through.
Run, Dylan. He can't hide from the cops forever.
You don't even know where I am. I saw the map. It's just a vague circle of the western seaboard. You can't find me.
You've confirmed it, though. You know it's the seaboard.
Shoot. They're closing in. Meech and Roy are down here in the bottom lane, playing defense as they should be, and I think that is the highlight. I think Roy was making a mistake a moment ago when he committed to a fight. Like, the odds of winning these fights only get better if the Kaiser can continue into team fights. We are looking at this Mirage side as a late-game teamfight focused comp. Sure, they need to play into the victor. Whatever, at least wait till the mid-games to start things.
Here comes Roy. Great ultimate to follow it up. There's the stun as well. Prismal finds the ultimate out. Teleport coming in. Rosethorn, huge engage, and the stun from Tally. He's transformed. He's done it correctly. Shurima Shuffle from DNA tries to get the escape, but Rosethorn, beautiful charge in. Gonna be able to find Hiami as well. The full ace comes out in favor of Golden Guardians.
It is just Dragoon on the top side of the map, wondering what has happened. As exactly what I was talking about goes awry, exactly as I set it up. This is a real good time for a Xayah in the bottom lane to just be taking exchanges versus this Kai'Sa. This Kai'Sa does not do enough damage yet, and you could see it to carry these team fights. And this Jarvan isn't a damage threat because we're past the very early game.
I will also say this is a less extreme version of what we saw in Game 2, but this is exactly where we were afraid Mirage would falter in Game number 1. But it's a more extreme game state. It lies somewhere in the middle, where Golden Guardians have an early lead. They're capitalizing on it to accomplish objectives. They've gotten the Infernal Drake so far, the Rift Herald as well. They were very likely to pick up this Ocean Drake spawning in 35 seconds. They are so far ahead at this point. It's going to be hard to come back. Or Roy.
Oh, what? Joe? Producer Joe? Sorry, Joe got the tapes mixed up. He just ran a couple frames of his experimental art film. We did not, in fact, get this replay. Here it is. You can see how it just goes awry. There was a full rotate already well in motion by the time that Mirage were going for the fight, so there are multiple things to unpack here. I don't think it was the right fight for Mirage to go for. Okay, we're back.
Prismal somehow in the middle of this fight doesn't have the ultimate available, gets blown up, and Golden Guardians have bit off more than they can chew. Lose 2.
That's insane.
They lost the jungler.
Yeah, okay, Hiami's down, but Hiami is a carry, right? It doesn't really matter if Hiami dies, I think, at this point. Obviously, you want him to keep pace so that he can win smite fights, but outside of that, we got a replay of this. Thanks, Jeff. It is all about this double tank frontline setting up for Meech. There it is. Lots of stuns. Rel, Jarvan, who knew? Great combo in the front lines. And Meech can just pump in the damage DNA behind him. Dragoon taking a little bit more further forward of a role. That is the ideal fight. When I say that Mirage have a really good team fight, that is what I am referring to. And as we get later in the game, it's only going to get better and better for them.
And I think also we need to point out the mistakes of Golden Guardians there, because that was not in a vacuum. Prismal was frontlining at the enemy red buff. Something has gone wrong when that is the game state.
Prismal frontlines again, gets rejected by DNA, but still finds the kills. What are you talking about, Matt?
Well, that wasn't at the red buff, TJ. My criticism was clearly frontlining at the red buff.
Here comes Hiami. Knock up will land. Hiami has to flank drag back behind the turret. Not sure what they were looking for. In the meantime, second Drake of the game did get scooped up, and this time, this red buff is going in the Golden Guardians' pocket.
Woo!
That's a dub, baby. And they're on their way to a second with the red buff and both Drakes. I don't know, which one's more important? You can choose in chat. Solidly at the Golden Guardians' pockets, they are looking real good for this game 3.
I think this is really interesting for Golden Guardians because this is another test, just like Game 2, but this time infinitely more practical. How quickly can you close out the games? How effectively can you push your leads? Because so far, we have not seen Golden Guardians really be convincing in that regard. Yes, they won game number 2. They won it about when I thought. But there were so many times where I was thinking, yeah, you can just push for the end here, or yeah, you can take this other fight here. And it's that kind of decision-making that they should be iterating on. That was the purpose for them to join Cup. That was the purpose for them to be here in Season 2 as an Academy team, was to shore up on those basics, shore up on those mechanics, shore up on those timings. And now we're getting to see them learn that in real time.
Yeah, it is really I think showing how valuable this is to Golden Guardians Academy, and I'm going to be interested to see how it affects their academy performance, because they are getting good practice. These are teams that are pushing them to the edge of their capabilities as a team. Yami in.
Prismal has been Cataclysmed at this point, but
They're
beautiful
so split.
ultimate. Now Roy can't find anything, gets assassinated. Chime playing a beautiful support in the backline there. As Prismal.
Rosethorn just kept DNA and Meech, the two damage dealers in that fight, on another continent. Looking off the edge of Alaska with a spyglass, trying to see Russia. Not finding anything. DNA and Meech just had to watch as their teammates died.
And hey TJ, it's about Prismal carry time. It's 7-1 off the back of this fight. So let's take a look again. Cataclysm starts it off. That's very clear. Beautiful backup engaged there by Roy. But Roy's alone at this point, because as you said, Rosethorn has spent the entire fight zoning off the backline. From there, nobody can do anything. Prismal finds a double kill, and this AD carry that they've been struggling to shut down for the entire game is still massive.
Yeah, and you can see the value of what I talked about during the draft of Thunderstorm, just providing Prismal with an out button, so that if they are threatened, you just have an extra option to deny the threat.
Now, off the back of that fight, that is the second Rift Herald of the game picked up by Rosethorn. The third dragon will be up in 3 minutes, but they're not going to need it for the time being, as it looks like they just reset, picked up some items, and that is 2 items already completed by Prismal, compared to the 1.5 by Meech.
Matt, could I get your analysis on what that means?
I can. Prismal's fed.
Oh.
Yeah, it's generally 2 is larger than 1.5. And from that, we can conclude that Prismal has more gold and probably, I haven't scientifically proven it yet, more damage.
All right. Maybe we can consider you for the analyst desk next season. You keep rolling like that.
Hard-hitting analysis, like 2 is greater than 1.5.
Well, I mean, you know, Cubby and the rest setting the bar, you know.
That's mean,
You know,
TJ.
Cubby's already mad at me. I might as well push him through.
Can't get worse.
Riptown will be someone, yeah, full commit. That's what he told me. He said if you're playing League of Legends, you full commit every time. Riptown will be summoned. Golden Guardians are full committing down here to the bottom lane. They would like to wrap things up with a neat little bow, and there is nobody from Mirage in the zip code. Finally, their players arrive. The inhibitor turret has already fallen, and this looks real bad for the amateur team in blue.
I'm wondering what Golden Guardians are using this series to work on. Because so far, it feels like they really flipped a switch in Game 2. So I wonder if they were trying something in Game 1. Or if, as we suspect, Mirage is a lot better than people are giving them credit for.
Yeah, and this is going to be something to track, because obviously Mirage are a solid team, but again, they're sitting in a weird place in the standings where they're not quite guaranteed to play in the Tier 1 tournaments upcoming. And I really want to see how Golden Guardians fare against some of our more experienced teams here in Amateur, some of our more celebrated teams here in Amateur. Because Mirage have definitely proven that Golden Guardians are within reach.
And I think this opens up for a further conversation that I'd like to track going forward in the season as well, is that I remember I was transcribing an interview with Raz, the former GGA coach, soon-to-be LCS caster. And he was saying that, he was saying that the role of a coach is so different than what the average person...
Immigration department! Visas! Woo!
Are you okay, TJ?
No, the Red Bull's hitting. Continue.
Okay. He was saying that the role of a coach is so different than what people think it is, because he was saying that for the team, they would pick one thing a week and they would focus on it. So they'd say, this week we're focusing on our rotations towards the top side. Then the next week they'd pick another one, so on and so forth. So that's what I want to track with a team like Golden Guardians Academy, who are clearly actively trying to get additional practice. And will have a sort of... Roy. Have a sort of hyperbolic time chamber like the LCS lock-in was for teams like Cloud9, who got to play essentially an extra regular split. and look so much better off the back of this. So I suspect GGA might start climbing up the rankings in Academy as well.
We'll keep an eye on it. Many of our good friends here on the broadcast are also broadcasting in Academy. You can, of course, find all those Academy games on the same channel. So, stay tuned. Don't avert your eyes. You have much more Golden Guardians Academy action coming.
Smack that follow button.
There you go. Ring the bell. Rosethorn in.
Whoa!
A beautifully set up team fight. Cataclysm will try and slow things down. You do have DNA with a nice Shurima shuffle just to deny the entry. And they may be turning this. Dragoon's able to deal a lot of damage from the back of the fight. But unfortunately, that is the only kill that's going to get passed over towards Mirage. Rosethorn did go down to that focus, but the rest of the team is gone. And that opens things up for Golden Guardians to take down a giant purple worm.
Golden Guardians with the fastest engage in the West. My God.
Where's Yami?
Yami? It's the blue buff! Woo! That blue buff!
We're getting blue buffs, baby!
Oh. Well, you know what? This is the first of 3 games where they've secured a fight over this buff.
Woo!
Yeah! Victory has been achieved.
He gets the blue buff, and he gets away with it.
It started as a complete joke. Like, we were completely memeing about that, but now I think there might actually be a problem, TJ.
There might actually be an over... I mean, to be fair to Yami, what was he going to do with that map state?
It's objectively the right play, but... It's very funny regardless.
I really like that specific blue buff.
Yeah, it's funny that that's the choice immediately. Like, I bet that blue buff stuff.
Golden Guardians, in the meantime, of course, do get the Baron and are on the march towards victory here in Game 3, with now a sizable gold lead built up and none of the weaknesses they showed in Game 1.
I have just realized, TJ, that we've been calling Prismal by their out-of-game name, where we should be using their chosen in-game name, Pwismal.
Matt.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh. Minute 20 till drag. So, that's something to look forward to.
I don't have anything to look forward to anymore.
Neither do I. You took Pwismal away from me.
That's why
Sorry,
I can't think of anything. You gave it to me. It's contagious. Terrence will be being taken down bottom. Golden Guardians Academy. Just trying to wrap things up very carefully. Not taking any risks here. If I did have a criticism of Golden Guardians Academy in their game closing state, which we've seen now 2 games in a row, it would be their wave management. Because we've seen some kind of sloppy control of the map. It stood out, obviously, during Game 1 when they were losing the most, when they kept just giving up their inhibitors.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Here in Game 2, you're seeing it as, oh, their minion waves are constantly way further forward than they should be for a team that's, 6k gold ahead and has Baron though.
Are going to try and shove through this mid lane, though, as the top and bottom waves crash, but looks like actually just going to abandon that in favor of Dragon. Which I suppose is the safer play, but less fun.
They were kidding with you, Matt. They're going to take a turret and then go with the Dragon.
I'll accept that course of action.
If they got it, and that is very important for Golden Guardians Academy. We pretty much sealed the deal on this game, so if Mirage are going to turn it, it's here. Flash, engage.
Huge knockback into the backline as well, but Chime and Prismal still alive. Meek has been able to find 1 kill so far in this fight. The knock-in, Tally gets denied, and the fight will end off the back.
2 for 1.
Maybe denied as well, but Tally and Rosethorn aren't done yet. They forced the blast plant over the wall from Dragoon and Roy. They're looking for the chase.
He's denied. They caught him.
Tally has found it.
Meech gets Rosethorn. Meech finds the kill on Rosethorn in the middle of the river. Tallywhacker will find a kill. Desperate back here from Meech. He's going to be back in the base now to stop the inhibitors from being taken down. Tally does know exactly where Dragoon is. Dragoon's standing on a ward, so inhibitors, 2 of them will fall. Mirage will lose Dragoon as well. Wasn't as bad as it could have been. They probably stopped Sol for a while, but it sure didn't end up great for them.
Yeah, I was focused on the top side of the fight after the initial engage, because that's where Prismal is, and he is completely unthreatened. Chime doing a great job of zoning off DNA, and then Prismal can just fire away from the backline. Meech was very close to turning this one, able to stay safe as well, but it really just ended up being, after the disengage, nobody knew where to go? Dragoon and Roy were just like, I guess we go to their bot side. And Tally does the smart thing and just chases them down. Denies the backs, and that gets them 2 inhibitors in a weird mirror universe to what happened to Golden Guardians in Game 1.
Yeah, strange mirror universe. And it's a dark one. A dark mirror, Matt.
Everyone's wearing beards and mustaches.
Blown out. Okay, you went Star Trek. I was going award-winning.
Directed by
ITV
Zack
series
Snyder.
Black Mirror, but
Oh. Similar aesthetics, TJ.
sure. Drake was taken, confirming the soul over there for Golden Guardians. They have a mountain soul protecting them. What is this? Yami in for the murder bush, deep on the Quizball. Quizball has already burned their Featherstorm, and as a result, this is going to be an easy fight. Ooh woo.
I loved it until the last part, TJ, and then I hated it. Thank you so much. Never say that again.
I needed to break you off of it. Sometimes you just need to give people what they want so they realize it's not at all what they desired.
Thank you. Meech took a fight and found something similar to what I have. Complete despair. Now, Golden Guardians will find the teleport as Roy leaves the game. It's all but a foregone conclusion at this point. Nexus Tower number 1 will fall, and Golden Guardians Academy will find their first victory in Challengers Uprising and their first victory on the amateur circuit. A much